listening to the Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Vacula, here to help you travel the world at next to no cost through credit card points, miles, benefits, and rewards. Make money, save money, and take advantage of great deals. Thanks for joining me for episode number 62, 26-Day Las Vegas Trip Report. A special guest who joined me for part of the trip will join the show to chat with me about the experience of hopping from casino to casino. I'll discuss how I booked this long stay at next to no cost, and how credit card and casino benefits enhance the trip. All right, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on and inviting me on the trip.
Yeah, very brave of you to come along for this monstrous, close to 1 month trip. It was quite the adventure.
I was only there for about 10 days, but it just sounded too good to pass up. Too many freebies.
Oh yes, and we'll absolutely get into that, and we'll flip the script a little bit. Usually I'm the one doing the interview, but today we'll flip it a little bit where
Sure.
I'll answer some questions, and then we'll just talk about the experience and our observations, and hopefully help some of the listeners in having success in Las Vegas. I really find it awesome that we could do all of this at next to no cost, where I wouldn't have imagined this 7 years ago, 3 years ago even.
It's amazing. It really
wow.
is. Yeah. So why did you take such a long trip? I think you only stay for like a week usually.
Yeah, usually it's about a week, but this time it was really special because lots of offers lined up. There was Resorts World, one of the newer casinos out there. They had an offer match promotion where they said, hey, show us an offer from a different casino on the strip, a competing casino, and we'll give you the same offer. So about a year ago, Wynn Las Vegas was offering a status match. And as part of the status match, I matched my status from Caesars, my Diamond Plus status. They were also accepting Diamond as far as I remember. I matched that over to Wynn, and Wynn gave me 3 comp nights. And you were there for that too. We got the, what was it, $150 dinner, and then the spa credit that never was because someone claimed it was used for a haircut, but we got to the barber and then they're like, oh no, we can't take that. But
it was whatever. Great potential though. Great potential.
Miscommunication. So yeah, we got the 3 free nights at Wynn, and I was able to match that to Resorts World. So those 3 nights were hanging out. And then American Express Fine Hotels and Resorts credit, as I have 2 platinum cards, the Morgan Stanley Platinum and just the regular, as they call it, the Vanilla Platinum. As
the Vanilla Platinum.
Yeah, the Vanilla Platinum. That's now with crazy art. Like you can either get flowers or odd crayon shapes. People call it modern art. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too critical, but I'm sure many listeners would agree. So I had the 2 Fine Hotel and Resorts credits that I had for the calendar year of 2021. And then once January come around, well, now there are 2 more credits because it's based on the calendar year. So there are 4 free nights there, 3 free nights at Resorts World. Bally's gives me a bunch of comps. Excalibur gave me an offer. I had 2 at Bellagio we'll get into later. So why not just knock out a lot of these benefits right when the year starts and get out of the cold weather of Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
I think I missed 3 snowstorms. Actually, which is,
oh, that was excellent timing.
Yeah.
So what was planning this trip like?
Yeah, so I have a notebook. I do some things on paper, sometimes spreadsheet, where I said, okay, well, here are the dates, here are the offers that I have. So how can I figure out how to arrange all of this? So there's obviously some jumping from property to property. I tried to stay close, not go from Wynn to Excalibur back to Resorts World. Like, oh, well, maybe Resorts World, we could stay there and then go to Wynn right across the street, right?
Yeah.
So I tried to balance the ease of getting around versus the cost of the nights. So one big thing was, okay, well, I'm not willing to pay $600 for a hotel room.
Oh, good Lord, no.
Super Bowl weekend. But hey, look, there were some other days where the rate at Resorts World was $190. So I looked through and figured out what was the optimal way to plan this, with price being a chief concern and distance being the second concern. So
okay, let me stop you there for a second though, Justin. Did you actually pay like $190 for a hotel night?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, because the American Express Platinum gave up to a $200 statement credit for those nights that were booked at Resorts World. So with the four different nights, and we'll get into that a little bit later, the rates were around 190. I think the max was like 210.
Yeah.
So the $200 statement credit came off when I booked. So it was essentially 4 comp nights plus all the food and the free wine and the truffle popcorn that we'll get into later in the show.
That's great. I mean, that's amazing. To get all that for what, $10 or, maybe a little more with tax. And I think there's a resort fee, right, at some of these places, but it's so much less than if you were to consider paying for even some of the nights out of pocket. Yeah.
So it's recognizing the opportunity with a lot of these offers and just trying to put it all into the same trip. Whereas, okay, maybe I could have gone out for a week, but hey, it's slow in January with a lot of the other stuff I do with credit cards, deals, reselling, gift cards. It's very, very slow in January. It seems like everything builds up November, December, and it just falls off and then picks up around March. So hopefully we'll be seeing some new deals. We're talking about you, Giant. We're waiting on some gas points.
So for several reasons, this trip in January, February really made sense. It was a great time of year to be doing it from your point of view.
Yeah, many have referred to it as an off-peak season in Vegas as well. January and December are 2 of the lowest rates we're going to find out in Vegas.
Oh, good.
Is what I'm usually seeing as I'm going out there often. And, here are the most comp nights. Here are the lowest rates of rooms. So this worked out really well for an escape in January.
Good. So what was the most challenging part of the planning? I mean, you're very organized and you had all this information, but what were some of the sticking points, or the more difficult spots?
Yeah, so it was a little bit of organization and, okay, well, this is the check-in day, the check-out day, so let's make sure this all lines together and we don't make a mistake with the booking or leave a gap day. And I think getting the information probably was that in, okay, well, hey, these nights are comped, these nights might be $30, $40, and let's just get all that by opening all these browsers, but actually being able to pull the information from the websites or the apps or whatever was going on into something else, and then figuring out the optimal combination, I think, was really the best part, or the more difficult part of it. Because we could have said, oh, well, let's just do 3 here, 4 here, 3 here, but that wouldn't have necessarily been optimal, and it would have been more costly to do this.
Right. That's great. And then, just given that it was such a long trip, what did you particularly have to consider about either being away from home or about being, in Vegas?
Yeah, it's easy for me because I've been playing poker for about 7 years. I started just looking into it, listening to podcasts, reading books, watching YouTube videos, and then started playing eventually after studying and while studying. And studying is always a thing for me, really. So I learned how to play the game, transitioned to casino play, long story short, and it's been going really well for these past few years. So
great.
Poker is one of the biggest draws for me in Vegas, is I'm almost always at the tables I'm almost always at the tables in the evening, especially when I'm out in Vegas. I'll take the day off here or there at least once a week. I'll be intentional about that. And then other times to just unplug and take a break from that. So how much time did you spend playing poker? Like how much time per day and how many days per week out of the nearly 4 weeks you were there? Yeah, the session's usually like 4 or 5 hours. Sometimes, as you know, it's like, hey, this game is really, really good right now, and I'm not leaving until this guy loses his money. So some of the sessions got pretty late, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. It's just whole part of the process. I mean, when some people are in there and they don't really care, they're calling everything, playing every hand, bluffing way too much. It's like, I'm going to sit there and play a little bit longer. Yeah. But it's at a point where I don't like to play too long at the tables. And for me, it's like 4 to 5 hours is a sweet spot. And then after that, like attention starts to drop off. Yeah. I think it's important to know your own limitations for all sorts of gambling, because are you really going to have your A game if you're really tired, you're not focused, your attention is wavering? So I try to get some quality hours in rather than just straight up volume. Right. Because I just have to be humble about it and know that I'm not going to perform as well later on. Although when people are pulling my leg to stay at the table, dropping money in front of you. Literally. Yeah. Well, I'm interested. You described this in your opening, I think, as the experience of hopping from casino to casino. And since I don't gamble, my experience is more of hopping from really nice hotel to really nice hotel. So for people who don't play poker at the tables, which of these, benefits that gave you the nights or the free nights are really free, which of these benefits that gave you the free nights or nearly free nights would be pretty straightforward for somebody who doesn't themselves play to pick up on or to get? Yeah, I think it's a strength of Vegas that there's something for probably everyone, whether it's the sightseeing, whether it's the shows, whether it's the restaurants. It's a lot different than we've traveled to Atlantic City before. And then like, oh, well, is there really so much to do when you're inside of Harrah's AC in the Marina District and there really like no shows?
Okay, but I've gone to some good concerts. Right? I've gone to some good concerts in Atlantic City.
Oh yes, also there was that. There was that in Atlantic City, but not really all the time. So I see like Vegas compared to Atlantic City. Not saying that there aren't other things to do in Atlantic City, because there certainly are other things to do, but there's a lot more to do.
Right, there's so much in Vegas,
Las Vegas. I mean, even if you're going to take a super, super frugal thing of I'm just going to walk around and see the different casinos.
Yeah, amazing.
Which is fine. There's the Bellagio, Botanical Gardens, it's slipping my mind, the display that they have. They had a Year of the Tiger.
Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous.
This time. Yeah.
Yeah, the floral display, right.
Yep. Oh, the listeners are the Botanical Gardens there, the show. You guys know what it is. It's right off of the hotel lobby. But yeah, it's nice to see that there, and I think it's convenient to take the tram from casino to casino. We've certainly done that, so you can go to Park MGM, you can go to the shops at Crystals, Aria, and see all of these places. It's really lavish. All the money from the 000 roulette and 6 to 5 blackjack that they've put up there is really paying dividends for the sightseeing crowd. So there's that. Some indoor swimming, obviously gyms, other exercise facilities that you can have, and just the idea of, oh, well, look, it's a time away from home. It's a little bit different. Even if I'm going to watch the wonderful series Attack on Titan, of course, I've been recommending, or, maybe something else. It's like, hey, you're away from home. You just get to do something else.
Yeah. Vegas also has a number of interesting museums. I haven't explored them yet, but I hear the Mob Museum
downtown
is really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't go downtown this time around. We stayed on the Strip, as that's where most, if not all, of my offers are. There were some emails I was saying towards the end of this of like, oh, well, I planned the first one-way flight, and I could extend it. Oh, look, I'm getting this offer from this casino. Like, you know what? It's pretty good here around this time. Like, stay a little bit longer. I gotta go home at some point. The to-do list was adding up. I think one thing. Doing laundry was interesting, but it wasn't too difficult. We found a coin-operated laundromat that was close to the wonderful Panera Bread at the Hughes Center. That's like a 15-minute walk. Panera is a 15-minute walk from Bally's, and then from Panera to the laundromat maybe would have been like another 20. But we did the ride share from Bally's to the laundromat and was able to use the coin-operated facilities. Interestingly, the laundromat didn't have a bathroom, so I guess don't drink a lot of iced coffee at Panera before you go to the laundromat.
So,
little tip there.
That's very useful. So given the length of the trip, what did you decide to take with you, and what did you decide not to pack? I mean, you didn't take 26 days worth of clothes. You're talking about doing laundry. Well, that makes sense. But what are the considerations?
Yeah, I took the maximum amount of bags that I can take with me. Usually I would take a coffee maker to have that in the room, but instead of taking the coffee maker, I just took extra clothes. So that fit in the rest of the luggage. Lots and lots and lots of socks and shirts and all the clothing items that I'm going to wear here. So there was more than usual for sure. I took some food items, lots of Cliff Bars. I have so many Cliff Bars right now in my apartment from the grocery deals in December. Used in January as well, so I could use my grocery points and take a lot with me. It's great. Used it.
Almost stacking your benefits.
It's insane. It's just the amount of printer paper in my apartment right now. It's just incredible. I'll tell you that.
Is it a fire hazard?
What are you doing with all these grocery points? So, well, there are a lot of non-perishable things you can buy. I took more pill, I take supplements. I have acetaminophen, I have melatonin, I have multivitamins. So I took more than the usual amount. Some applesauce, as I have some difficulty swallowing pills. So just some extra stuff. Just being mindful of that rather than the usual allotment. Just taking the extra stuff is really good. Maybe bring a book or use your American Express credits for Audible, whatever. Just have some other things, because I think at some point you might get exhausted from a longer trip like this. So having some kind of backup plan and not intending to be at the tables every day, I think is laudable.
Sure. Good. Well, what were the highlights, and were there some things that just didn't go so smoothly? Yeah,
there is some learning curve with the Win Slots app. I've been using that to generate gems. That's going to be another video another day, where basically you play this free-to-play game, put it on an auto spin on a secondary phone or even your main phone, not have too much engagement with it really. It's also great while walking, where I'm just generating these gems that I can redeem for hotel rooms. And I booked the first 2 nights, but they have a policy that once you book the first 2 nights, you have to wait 48 hours after the reservation to book another 2 nights. So I was under the impression that, oh, look, I have enough gems for all 4 nights. But then when it got closer to Vegas time, all of a sudden the prices spiked. And it's like, wow, I'm not going to be able to buy all 4 nights. So we had the backup plan of using Hilton free night certificate we got from Spend on American Express cards. So having the backup plan, I think, was really, really good. But next time around, I'm going to wait for more gems before making a bigger redemption if I have a longer trip like this. So having all the hotel nights booked beforehand would be a plus. But at the same time, I wanted to use the gems from the Win Slots app because I essentially paid like $170 into the game to unlock the ability to get comp nights. So we still got 3 nights out of it. And when I go back to Vegas in April, I'm going to get another 2. So 5 nights there for like $170. Like, what a deal.
Wow.
What a deal.
Wow, that's great.
At Win too. Quite a nice
property.
Oh
my gosh, it's a nice property.
Some listeners would be like, oh, well, whoa, you got comp nights Excalibur. Big deal. It's the dirty castle. I'm like, no, we got to win.
Win was wonderful.
And winning at Win, yes.
And Resorts World, which is a Hilton property. So there was, I guess, one night that needed covering where we used my free night certificate and had another plan for it.
Oh, we'll get into that later. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had looked it up what that night would be if I were just going to try to book it. And it said $600.
Oh, yeah. What a disaster.
Which I never would have paid.
The Super Bowl time.
Right. It was right. It was Super Bowl weekend. Right. So but it was covered by the free night certificate, and they had little trouble merging that with, another night on a different reservation with a different deal.
Yeah.
It worked. Yeah. And it's a beautiful hotel, beautiful, rooms and amenities. Just amazing.
Yeah. And that was the American Express Aspire card. So that was the free night certificate just from having the card.
Right. Right. Amazing. Yeah. So, so you said some of it was just kind of having to fill in a couple of nights that were gaps because of the limitations on how many nights they'd let you book in advance, right?
Yeah. So having a backup plan, I think, is really good, because it would be like, well, hey, I'm at Bally's. I have the 5 comp nights at Bally's, or there's one point we'll get into where it was like 15 a night. No big deal. But if we were going to night 6, and then all of a sudden the rate spikes up to like $200 on a Friday, that would be really bad. So having the backup plan, I also had Hilton points ready to go, Hyatt points ready to go. We figured like, hey, we're already at Resorts World, so we might as well use the free night cert to stay at the property, get the benefits we'll talk about, or some of the benefits we'll talk about. And I think there's some value in that, and not like moving around every day. I mean, if you were to say, oh, hey, you can only stay in a hotel one night and you have to move to a different hotel. Like I wouldn't even have done it. Yeah. But being able to stay at a property for several nights in a row, that's great. But, you get your steps in Las Vegas. I guess some people call it Walk Vegas. We get a lot of exercise moving around for sure.
Yeah.
There was one point, actually, what would I do differently? I would have brought a second pair of sneakers.
Yeah.
Because at one point, like, my feet were like really hurting me, where one day I put in an incredible amount of steps and like, oh, maybe I was too ambitious about this time, where like my feet were literally burning.
Oh, no.
Or they felt like they were burning out. It's the wrong form of literally there. Maybe keep that and edit it out. But yeah, my feet were hurting me. It felt like a burning sensation. And if I had different shoes to put on, I think that would have lessened the load there.
Yeah.
Definitely having comfortable shoes in Vegas is vital.
It's really key. Well, I think too, I just mentioned that I think you're more likely to walk the longer distances that other people might decide to take the tram or take a ride share. So, there's all sorts of different ways to get around.
Yeah, I wanted to intentionally get the exercise in rather than just taking rideshare all the time, because it can be very easy of, oh, well, I'm just on vacation. Oh, I'm just at the hotel. Oh, I'm just at the poker table. And then like we're really vegetative over a whole month of being away. And sadly, I've put on some weight over this whole COVID experience. And I'm just going to have to be more mindful of getting an exercise in and putting the weight off. So it's, I think, important not to get too lazy and let that go. So by intentionally walking from place to place, and I don't think it was anything crazy. It was like, oh, hey, we can walk to Caesar's Palace. That's like 15, 20 minutes. Or, okay, we take a 15 to Bellagio and then take the tram to Park MGM.
Yeah.
It wasn't that wild. It wasn't walking from Bally's to the laundromat, or I think the furthest point would have been from Wynn to Excalibur. That was too much. And the ride share was pretty decent. I think it was around like $10, maybe $15.
Right. Really nothing
that we've seen.
Well, and the other thing about walking in Las Vegas is, first of all, there's all these interesting people on the streets. Some wearing more and some wearing less.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then,
at one point, like, I got paddled and handcuffed, or like kind of handcuffed. I don't know. So I keep it PG for YouTube, right? But listeners will understand.
And then the other thing is, I think you've commented on this, is that it feels amazingly safe to walk on the Strip at night. Just there's so many people, there's lights, there's some police presence, and there's lots of people who are really happy who've been partying. So really, it doesn't have the same feel as it might, walking on some other city streets at night. So.
Yeah, we even saw some fights break out, and there was security around, shirts in yellow, guys on bikes. So there really weren't any problems. Like I didn't feel any kind of physical danger at any point. Like it was just very, very, very safe experience, which is different than, say, okay, if you're going to go to Chicago and you're at a concert, like you're not going to maybe feel as comfortable walking back to the hotel for like 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
But in Vegas, it's very easy. And if people don't want to walk outside, you could just take the ride share back instead of taking the 15-minute walk at night, or whatever the case might be. But very good lighting, lots of people around. So I thought it was a good experience in that aspect. Good. Very pedestrian friendly and easy to get around, rather than having to. We decided not to get a rental car. Save the money on that. And in some cases, the rental car might actually take longer to get from property to property, navigating the traffic in the parking garages. Yeah, the
other thing about Vegas, or the Strip at least, it's very cool, is all the pedestrian overpasses. So that you rarely have to cross the street at a light. So you're not stopped by the light, and then you're not having to sort of navigate, or does the car see you, and, la, la, la.
Yeah, hopefully they could just fix the people movers and the escalators one day, but it seems like something's always down, right?
True.
Yeah.
So what you mentioned, I think, some pretty amazing benefits at the hotels, including food and alcohol. So could you tell us a bit about what that was like?
Yeah, we could go down the list if you want to start with the first property at Bally's.
So you have a list for me here. So you were at Bally's for, I'm not gonna count the nights, but like 5 nights.
Yeah. So the comp nights at Bally's were nice, and I think this is something really, really special for poker players. It's something that people neglect, in that poker players usually don't get many comps and many rewards. But Caesars is a real gem. Because I go to Atlantic City, play out there. I go to Vegas, play out there, and the comp nights are very, very frequent. They'll just straight up have comp nights on my calendar when I log into my account.
Wow.
And I'll get emails that say, hey, come out to Atlantic City for 2 comp nights, come out to Vegas for comp nights here and there, in addition to what shows up on the calendar.
Wow.
So I don't know whether it's my level of play, the status that I got, but for whatever reason it is, probably a combination of a lot of things, I'm continuing to get the free offers. So
wow, great.
Bally's is a mainstay for me in Las Vegas, and sometimes I get lucky and get Paris or Planet Hollywood that I think are a little bit better. Especially the Bally's dining situation is grim right now as we're recording in February of 2022. Like you have to pretty much leave the casino to eat anything. It's really bizarre. But yeah, the comp nights at Bally's is where this trip started. And one thing of having the Diamond Plus status I mentioned, rather than the regular Diamond that most listeners probably have through status matching, is you get the 4 drink vouchers. So you go to a kiosk, you swipe your card, and it's 4 drinks of up to $20 in value. And
that's per day, I think, right?
Yeah, that's per day, per calendar day. Yeah. So it's like midnight. They refresh at midnight. Yeah. So you get 4 of them per day, which is really nice. So it's, hey, the chai tea latte in the lobby bar, or getting alcohol at one of the bars. Like we went to Carnival Court at Harrah's at one point. There's Stadia at Caesar's Palace. There's Flamingo And some, including Michael Traeger of the wonderful Zorkcast podcast, Zork, he says that you can use these at Flamingo and they just take off from the balance. So that's kind of nice, because I miss going to Vanderpump. I think that was one of the best places for drinks.
Yeah.
And the drinks were $18 and you were able to use the vouchers there. But then the price went up to like $22 for the specialty drinks. And then they changed the terms where Vanderpump wasn't an eligible location. So no more lychee martinis.
That's too bad.
I'm not a religious guy by any means, but if I were to have any religion, it would be don't pay more than $1 for alcohol. It's like, what all these drink vouchers, being at the poker table. Like if I decide to play a blackjack in a decent game, like, okay, I can just get the drinks. That's fine by me. So yeah, having these drink vouchers is cool because you get the more premium drinks, and why not? Or just go to Starbucks or
Starbucks, right.
Yeah,
that might be
it's a fake Starbucks, by the way. We've run into this many times where it's like, hey, do you guys accept stars? Do you guys accept offers? I played the Starbucks game. I got a free drink. Oh, no, we don't take that. How about some gift cards? How about balance? How about apps? How about No. We don't take that. We're just a franchised location. So you can use the drink vouchers, but you're not able to use any other Starbucks fun things. Or, RIP, rest in peace, the Cash App, where it used to be like 50 cents off a purchase at Starbucks, and of course split tender with multiple cards, and it was great like 2.5 years ago, but what can you do? Strike while the iron is hot.
All right. Yeah, I think that's one of the things I've kind of learned from you is if you see a deal that sounds good, just go for it, because it may not be there tomorrow or certainly next week.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Bally's, I had the 5 nights there, pretty standard, and a nice property. I don't think it's run down by any means. I think they recently renovated, and they added security by the elevators, which is interesting because there have been some individuals who claim that they had their phones stolen and lost their money, and can you just give me $20 so I can get a ride home or whatever, So with the security there, I think it brings down that element and makes it a better experience for everyone.
Good. Okay. And then after Bally's, I think you went to Resorts World and used your offer match. Is that right?
Yeah. So it was the 3 free nights through the offer match promotion. I matched the win free nights, as I mentioned. So went over to Resorts World, and they didn't give any kind of benefits for this stay. As we'll mention a little bit later, we had various benefits from American Express and Hilton, but they said since it's a casino comp offer, you get nothing. You just get the free nights. But that was all right. So Bally's to Resorts World, took rideshare to get there, as that would have been a longer walk, and started that 3-night stay. So I walked across the street and played poker at Wynn because it seemed very, very slow in the Resorts World poker room. It seems to be more of like lower stakes, whereas I prefer to play more of the mid-stakes game, but it was very slow there. Maybe the weekends it will heat up or around special events, but I really like the Wynn poker room. The 2-5 no limit game there offers a 1,500 max buy-in compared to other games that are 500 or 1,000. So it's a little bit more action. I think it gets a lot of people, and they had multiple 2-5 games compared to Resorts World that just had like 2 games of 1-3, which was just really weak, at least when I was there. So yeah, Resorts World was just let's stay there. And then talking about organizing this whole thing, I was able to have the 3 nights with the offer match, and then we used you didn't come just yet, the Fine Hotel and Resort benefit.
Ooh, okay. Now, where did that benefit come from again?
Yeah, so the American Express Platinum card.
Oh, right.
I got the $200
one of your 2.
One of my 2 Platinum cards. Yeah, listeners out there might have more. Especially if they were lucky enough to get the Mercedes-Benz, if that still exists. There were all these different Platinum flavors, but unfortunately, no Mercedes-Benz for me. But yeah, so I got the $200 statement credit for booking the room. That was around like $190, $210. And as part of the FHR benefits, we got a $125 dining credit, a $66 breakfast credit, or $33 per guest. So if you have 2 guests or maybe someone arriving later, you get $66 total. And it was 2 complimentary sparkling wine at the lobby bar, according to the letter. There was this letter where you had to show the benefits, and Traeger, I mentioned, I was talking to him, and he's like, what is this? Like, you show them the letter and just get the wine? It's like a writ of wine? I was thinking, like, yeah, it's just weird, but it turned out to be the case that you let them know you have the benefit, you give them your room number, you charge it to the room, and there was actually a button on their register that said Amex FHR. So
wow.
They knew about the promotion, which is nice because sometimes we run into places that don't know the promotion.
Yeah.
We know their promotions better than they do.
Yeah.
So they knew about the wine promotion. So definitely got that. Used the breakfast credit. All this charged to room. Yeah. And then at checkout, they take it off the folio.
Wow.
But it got a little confusing because I had the offer match and I knew there were no comps that day. But on the first day of the FHR credits, or what I thought was the first day, I went to breakfast and they were saying, oh, your FHR reservation didn't start yet. Yes, it is the same calendar day, but the FHR day didn't start.
So
it's a little tip for listeners, whereas if the check-in for FHR is something like 1 p.m., well, then you're not going to be able to get breakfast before 1 p.m. The breakfast would then be on the next day. So it was a little confusing, but I figured it out. It's a little bit of trial by error there.
So in general,
we were kind enough to resolve that.
So it sounds like in general, if you're combining deals, into a longer stay, but different deals on different days or different deals on different 24-hour periods or something, you have to be sure that one day has ended and the next begun, which might mean going to the front desk and asking or calling them, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you know exactly?
Yeah. So that's when the check-in is. So I had the 3 nights, and it was the 28th, 29th, 30th, and then checking out in air quotes that the podcast listeners can't see. The 31st was the checkout. So whenever you figure out the checkout time, the check-in time, although it gets further complicated because it's supposed to be a 4 p.m. checkout with FHR, but with regular checkout was at noon, I believe. So then, you'd be able to then use a Hilton My Way credit. You got $50 dining credit for just having diamond status with Hilton, and I believe gold status gets that too. But you'll have to see if you don't have diamond. So it's another great benefit of the American Express Aspire card to have that diamond status. Every day with the FHR credit was an additional $50 in dining credits. So
amazing!
What
plus
a thing! It's
plus the
annual
breakfast
fee. Oh yeah, $66 for breakfast. So that was part of the Amex FHR credit. So you think, so many people, I think they really go wrong. They hear the word annual fee and it's like, oh no, I'm not paying a fee to use a credit card. But with so many of these cards, it's just such a no-brainer that the benefits are outweighing the annual fee, especially in the first year where we're getting the massive welcome bonus.
Well, as long as you use the benefit, right? If you don't use it, then it's not worth it. But knowing what they are and figuring out when and how you're going to use them and then going and doing it sounds like really the key.
Yeah, there was a very short moment in time years ago where you were able to use Hilton points on Amazon at an actual good rate, because usually it's a terrible, terrible deal using Hilton points on Amazon. So some people were figuring, oh, well, I don't plan on staying at a Hilton hotel. But what if I sign up for a Hilton card? And if I can just get half a cent per point on Amazon, normally I would get half a cent per point using Hilton points at hotels if it's a good redemption and I'm getting the 5th night free, usually. That's great. But I don't recommend signing up for a specific branded hotel card if you're not going to be staying at the hotel within a year. That would seem to be silly, because then the benefits would go to waste.
Sure.
You might be losing that math problem.
And again, the Resorts World doesn't say Hilton in the name, but it's a Hilton hotel, right? Or there's actually 3 hotels there. I don't know how many of them are
more confusion. America loves confusion. Yes, Crockford's, Hilton, and Conrad I believe were the 3. We stayed at Conrad. That was the option through the FHR booking anyway. So you figure, okay, I got the 125, the 66, the 50, the wine on top of saving the 200 per night. So it was like real easy mode using that, where I think outside of Vegas, it's more difficult to get good value out of that credit, because if the room is something like 600 and I'm getting the 200 back, is that really such a great deal?
Right.
Probably not in many cases. But if the room rate is around the amount of the credit, then one would think that that's the best redemption that we can do, as long as we like being at the property. Like, I'm not saying, okay, use your points for trips that you don't want to take.
Right.
But since I was planning on going out to Vegas anyway, this actually worked out really well, because that 200 calendar year credit is relatively new.
Right. And with Resorts World giving all these dining bonuses, dining credits, the other nice thing is they actually have a number of nice restaurants, unlike Bally's. Right now. Yeah. Bally's
like the Burger Brasserie, and maybe like another place in the lobby. You could pay like $15 for a small salad at the lobby bar.
Right. They have like a food court down in the basement also. Yeah.
The basement's all right. if you can use your Bitmo points and get some gift cards down there, of course, everybody, so many listeners, like how many do you have right now after all the great gift card deals that have been around? But yeah, always looking for something. Yeah.
Right. It's truly not as nice a selection of dining as at Resort World or Wynn.
Yeah. Back to Bally's, of course, the great CVS right next to Bally's, where I used my $10 Care Pass credit to get $10 off salad there. I got 2 salads actually, and it came to like $11, and I used the Bitmo points for a CVS gift card to pay the rest. Care Pass is wonderful. It's like I think like a $55 annual fee, somewhere around there. And every month you get a $10 credit.
Wow.
So most people didn't know that you can buy food at a CVS. Like they have a deli section there with cold food. And it's funny, I posted in one group that, hey, look, I used my Care Pass to get food. Like, how could you eat at CVS? You're in Las Vegas. How could you not go to Gordon Ramsay and all these other places? Like, look, I was just looking for something quick to eat. Like, yeah,
it was covered by your benefits, so you got it for free, really. I mean, a very low cost, right?
Yeah, very very low cost.
Yeah,
I'm definitely taking the frugal approach across this, and I guess the other contrast is that we get the really nice restaurants where $125 went extremely far at the Asian restaurant Fuhu.
Yes.
They try to put us at a small table. It's like, no, we're going to need a bigger table. Can we sit at a bigger table?
Yeah. And so then after, go ahead.
Oh yeah, Fuhu. Yeah, you want to tell some listeners some of the food that we got at Fuhu?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't there the first time you went to Fuhu. I was there the second time.
Yep, later
in the trip. Yep. Yeah, but it's an Asian restaurant. I don't know, interesting, a wide variety of foods. We were aiming for the vegan and vegetarian choices, of which there were quite a few. And I think they especially made up a noodle dish for us that normally would have meat in it that they made without. But, I mean, you're right. There were, 6 dishes on the table or something like that, of just really tasty food. And again,
it was great.
Hilton paid for it. So, hey.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for that one, for listeners, just to clarify, it's the $125 dining credit was from the FHR. The $50 Hilton credit was usable at The Kitchen and Suns Out, Buns Out. And then the $66 breakfast credit, it was Kitchen or Suns Out, Buns Out again. So in this case, Amex covered that one. And I think that's important for listeners to not say go to Fuhu and spend $175 and thinking that all the $175 are come out and you wasted the other $50. So the terms are important here, but I don't think it's to a point where it's so difficult and complicated that I can't figure everything out, and I'm just gonna whale out and get what did they have, like $1,000 wine bottle there or some like crazy number. That's not going to be covered.
I didn't look too hard at that one.
yeah, exactly. I mean, the way I look at it is if I can get an ample amount of food and everything's like a $15 to $20 price point, I'm full. We took food back. There was so much food.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need to buy the, $80 lobster tail or whatever when all this stuff is sufficient. And of course the vegetarian and vegan attempts, it's been more difficult to be vegan while traveling.
Right.
But definitely the vegetarian option, it's usually trivial to be vegetarian.
Right.
Sometimes it'd be like, hey, could you take the cheese out? Or hey, don't put this and that.
And,
I think some restaurants are wising up to it. We saw this at Resorts World, that there were options that said the word vegan on the menu.
Yeah.
So it was very, very easy to have that.
In fact, multiple options. That was at a different restaurant we went to later. And I'll just add, you mentioned the kitchen at Resorts World. So that's the area where they serve breakfast and lunch. And they do have a menu, but they also have a buffet for each of those meals.
And the buffet was nice. It was a little bit difficult to find the vegetarian options for breakfast.
Right.
But they still had oatmeal, fruit, and the potatoes. So there were still some options.
And some baked goods. Yeah.
Yep.
And then you were on to Excalibur.
Yep. Oh, the wine really quick. So there was the FHR benefit for the wine.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit of a complication because I went to the lobby bar where I checked in at Conrad, and the bartender said, hey, I can't serve you because we're closing, but go over to the Crockford's bar. Mm-hmm. And I told them, I have this FHR benefit. Like I think it's best practice, listeners, to announce benefits and promotions and things you have before making an order so that the server is aware of what's going on, and then you don't end up paying full price when you intended to pay zero or close to nothing. So I told them about that, and they said, go over to Crockford's. And I told the Crockford's bartender. And then when checking out, just checking the folio, making sure everything was good, they wanted to charge me for that. I say, well, what happened? I went to the bar and they told me go over to this one. They said, oh, well, the wine benefit is only usable at the hotel lobby that you checked in at, but it didn't say that anywhere on the letter. It said the hotel lobby. Like, okay, well, there are multiple hotel lobbies. It was closed. So at that point, like, you're just gonna have to wait for the next day.
Yeah.
So some little things. Resorts World was the most confusing of all the properties.
Yeah.
But everything worked out. They were cool about it. They adjusted some things, and I was fair about it. I didn't try to like get an extra $100 out of them. Sure.
Well, the other thing about Resorts World is I think you were staying there on 3 different types of deals, right? You had the offer match, the FHR, and then later there was the Hilton free night certificate. And the rules were a little bit different each time. And then the other thing is they're a new hotel. And so there's just some growing pains always in a new hotel. The folks who work there may certainly have, be very experienced in hotel business, but they haven't been at this hotel, with their processes, working with that same team. And so sometimes they just, again, things can go awry a bit. I'll just mention at Resorts World, I think there was one day where the keys we were given didn't work very well. And there were a couple times when the staff just didn't know the details of the promotions, or they didn't know the hours of, the kitchen, which is like really key because it's right around the corner from the lobby and it's where they serve breakfast and lunch. But that's not unexpected, and I think they'll grow out of it. Oh, I'll mention the one thing I think was sort of the biggest probably growing pain is that the rideshare app, when you're at the Resorts World, automatically puts your pickup spot outside a club. I forget the name of it.
Yeah, that's not even open.
It's not even open.
Like IU nightclub, something like that. Yeah.
It's a construction zone right now, so you can't get there from inside the building. You have to walk outside down to the corner and turn the corner and go up the next street to get to the spot where rideshare is told that you're going to be. Unless you very carefully, communicate with the driver about where you are. So I'm sure there's been many people who've been caught off guard by that. And again, they'll figure these things out over time, but that might be another factor, just how new they are.
Yeah, and these are minor things.
Sure.
I'm still giving them high marks, and I come in with the attitude of like, wow, we're getting all these benefits. So there's going to be something that might be a little bit confusing, or they want you to walk to the other side, or get a new key at the front desk. Like, all right, whatever, it happens. And I think with Amex, like, America loves breakage maybe because it's not like I can use one platinum card to book all the reservations.
Right.
Because I'm not going to get the 400. It's only 200 per card.
Right.
So I had to do 2 separate reservations. And then with the offer match, I let them know, I was like, hey, I have 3 separate reservations. I'm just letting you know if we could stay in the same room. And I think the hotels have an incentive to keep us in the same room as well. Yeah. Because at that point, they don't have to have housekeeping come up and flip it for someone else.
Right.
So I think that's something that really works for our benefit.
Well, and it may also be...
I don't want to move down the hallway every day.
Absolutely. And it's also probably part of the reason that they're offering some of these things like the offer match is because they are new. And so they're wanting to introduce the property to people who are valuable customers. And it's a really nice property. I mean, didn't really nice. Say anything negative about it by just commenting on them being new. It's it's a really gorgeous property.
Yeah. We just we want to be honest. We don't want to sugarcoat it, and let listeners know ahead of time some things that you might run into. Some people choose Delano as another option near Mandalay Bay or in Mandalay Bay, however you want to talk about it, as an FHR option. But I think overall Resorts World is providing the most value. Yeah. And for me, the location was really nice, right across the street from Wynn and not too far from Caesar's Palace. There were some days where like, let's just go and use the drink vouchers. Yeah. Take the 15-minute walk, or we went to Harrah's back to the Carnival Court or the Starbucks there to use the vouchers. So it's some forced exercise too, which I think is really nice. So overall, I give Resorts World high marks. Yes. But just a little bit of confusion in some of the terms with Amex. It would be nice if they would change the benefits in some way to just give you like physical coupons. We've seen this some Hilton properties where you go to the restaurant and then you give the server a coupon that says, $25 breakfast or free buffet or whatever, and you're good and you're done. But America loves breakage because, it has to go to the room. It has to be the right time. But we just have to be vigilant as consumers rather than poo-pooing the system. It's like, we just have to be vigilant about it and just push the right buttons at the right time.
Right. Hey, one other thing that people should know, and this is not just Las Vegas, but not every hotel is offering coffee makers. And so I think that was true throughout this trip, right? There was no room that had a coffee maker in it. So
the war on coffee.
Be forewarned.
Yeah. Whereas, Atlantic City, we had Harrah's AC and Borgata now as coffee makers. So there was one point where Borgata had a sign next to a coffee maker that said that you had to request coffee supplies, which allegedly due to the current pandemic. I'm trying to avoid that word for YouTube. But you get it. So yeah, some little things, but I think for the most part it's open. And like halfway through the trip, they also dropped the mandate to wear the facial coverings.
Right.
So that was another thing that changed. Some people were like, is Vegas experience really going to be Vegas if I have to wear a covering over my face? I'm like, well, I guess that really depends on you and what you consider the Vegas experience, but it's definitely getting looser out there in terms of those requirements to a point now where it's optional, except at this time recording 2/2/2/22 or February 22nd, 2022, it's still rideshare in airports required.
Yeah. And as I recall, the governor made that announcement while we were eating at a buffet. And so
that was interesting. Yeah, we used the My Vegas buy one get one at the MGM Grand for a buffet, and yeah, these benefits were really tremendous. I mean, we hopped from restaurant to restaurant throughout the trip, and the Bellagio buffet was like $45. So saving $45 or two people eating for $45 was great. And we had Excalibur, we had Luxor, again MGM Grand,
and
where
Caesars.
Those buffets were around like $25. Oh yeah, we used the celebration dinner at Bacchanal. They had the $65-ish brunch, which is interesting because during normal dinner times it's around $90. So we were able to use a celebration dinner, and for two people it came to about $125. So taking the $100 off, $25 total plus tip was, I think, an excellent deal.
That was the best. That was great. Really enjoyed that one. Yeah. So all of the buffets were 2 for 1. The offers that you had, or buy one get one.
The My Vegas apps, and it just gets better and better with My Vegas. Some people lament, the value dropped off. It's not as good as it used to be. But now they've introduced more games, including My Vegas Bingo and MGM slots. So you don't even have to auto spin. You just sit in the lobby. I mean, I've been walking and just holding the phone in my hand and earning loyalty points that I'm using to earn 2 free nights at Bellagio. We'll get into a little bit later. Like, what a life. What a life. They're trying to tempt you to play the slots. They're trying to get you in the door. It's marketing, whatever. All the ads coming up on you to buy chips. Well, you don't really need to.
And you're not looking at them, probably. You're not looking at those ads.
Oh, yeah. The idea is to, like, have the least amount of engagement with the games, really. Okay,
now, could I clarify for just a moment? So the My Vegas app is different than the Win app that you talked about earlier where you get the gems. Yeah. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. Win Slots is its own thing. And then My Vegas is a collection of games. My Vegas Blackjack, My Konami, and much more. I have a video about a year ago I did on that, and I intend to do an updated one for 2022 in the future. All
right. Well, do you want to move on from, to Excalibur, I guess, from Resorts World to Excalibur?
Yeah, so it ended up being 2 nights comped at Excalibur, and then the third night was 40. I thought there were 3 comps, so I guess I forgot about that third night, but that's okay because I have the niche MGM credit card that's now MGM Rewards or maybe World MasterCard. I log into my First National Bank of Omaha account. It's just like World MasterCard. Like, they haven't updated their end for the change of the MGM Rewards program that used to be M Life. So now it's like more on brand MGM rather than M Life. Like, what is M Life? What does that mean? So they've updated the marketing and basically like copied a lot of what Caesars did. Now it's waiving resort fees if you have gold status. Now, if you earn gold status, not offer match or status match to gold, you get $100 dinner as well. So this was very, very good timing because it was February 1st that these changes went into effect. And my Excalibur stay was February 2nd. This was just totally by chance. So the desk agent waived the resort fees on the stay, which saved me about $120 to $150.
That's nice.
So the plan was, I can use the comps that I've earned through the MGM card with the 2X grocery category. Of course, spending enough to get gold status on the card through grocery spend.
Of course.
We love you, Giant. We love you. Bring back the gas points. So yeah, no resort fees, 2 comp nights, and the other one was like $30.
That's amazing.
I planned to use a lot of the My Vegas dining comps while I was at Excalibur, because then I could charge stuff to the room and then use the comps at checkout and maybe get more tier credits.
Yeah.
Maybe. And the other upshot of that was, okay, well, if I'm staying at Excalibur, I'm closer to MGM properties to use the rewards rather than going from Wynn to the MGM properties, which I don't think we did at any point in the trip because that was far, except for maybe using the buffets. Although I think we waited for a return to Bally's to do that. So, okay, I can go to New York, and eat at Nine Fine Irishmen and get the veggie pot pie in a literal bucket. The buy one, get one entree there. And we also had Diablo's Canteen at Luxor and Public House at Luxor. So Diablo's Canteen is fantastic. We got a table full of food there for $40 in the past as well.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, didn't use that this time because the reward didn't refresh. It's the thing with My Vegas, you have to like wait a certain amount between rewards to refresh. But we were well stocked with My Vegas rewards through the trip, and it brings up an interesting opportunity to double dip a lot of these things if you're with multiple people and multiple people are using the apps, and you could do that and like kind of trade off. And you could do that with the celebration dinner as well. If multiple people have diamond status, it's like, hey, well, one day we'll go to Bacchanal brunch with your celebration dinner, another one will do. So there's a lot of double dipping opportunities, and some listeners double dipping some of the platinum credits, multiple platinums here and there. Like Beth was a previous guest on the show, and she was talking about having like a player 3, player 4 situation where multiple people in her family have multiple credit cards.
Wow.
So there's a lot of opportunity. So using like the Aspire free night cert was one thing that definitely helped there, because we both have the Aspire cards. So we're double dipping a lot of the benefits there.
Yeah. Great.
So Excalibur, I mean, not a room like the quality of Resorts World, but you know, it's serviceable, whatever. I'm not too picky about it. That's fine. I'll take the comp nights.
And they've got normally, the Thunder guys. What are their name? What's their name?
Oh, yeah. Thunder Down Under. There was one male dealer who thought it was a poker tournament, to which multiple poker players at the table laughed. And he's like, yeah, we'll see you there. Go all in. And like all these jokes.
Thunder Down Under.
Thunder Down Under. Yeah, so that was that. So yeah, in the buffet there, the Tournament of Kings, I want to do that at one point. The jousting event, is they have comp entries in the My Vegas app as well, but they were all sold out.
Yeah, I did that once years ago when there was a conference at the Excalibur. Yeah.
It was an amazing conference, an amazing meeting.
Yeah, the amazing meeting. Yeah.
The amazing meeting. Yeah. So that's another thing for Vegas. More conferences are coming back, so it's more for people to do, as some people might travel around events.
There was a Bong conference, as I understand it, while we were at Valley. Bally's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's a nice thing for poker, because you just get these random people from the conferences coming in that aren't particularly practiced players, and some of them just dumping money.
Yeah, great. Alrighty, anything more about Excalibur, that stay?
Yeah, I just had to ask the desk agent for waiving the resort fees.
Oh, okay.
They came back and they said it was good, but I think in time it'll probably resolve itself and just be automatic in the system, but we'll see. Who knows? So
I have a question for you. Yeah. Do you think that the casinos / hotels in Vegas are more used to people booking with deals and comps, et cetera, than maybe hotels elsewhere? Like they are more able to sort of understand when you're saying, but this should be on that, this should be covered, I'm merging these two, whatever.
Yeah, that's a good question. It depends on how long the people have been working there, how the training is. But I would think that the average Vegas employee would be more knowledgeable than just a random employee at a Best Western who started like 2 months ago. Because, okay, maybe if they were born there, they've been at multiple properties, they have more experience. I definitely get that sense with poker dealers there. I think the quality of poker dealers in Vegas is higher than some other places. I've been at like the worst poker room in the United States probably is Mount Airy in the Poconos. There's a handful of good dealers there, but there are some that have been there for some time, and it's just bad.
Yeah.
And the management there, they make all the dealers deal all of the games.
Oh.
And there have been times where I'm in the poker room and one of the staff gets on phones like, hey, could you bring someone from the craps table to deal poker?
Oh, I see.
And I've seen dealers, I've seen 0 hands in a half an hour, which was a really magical moment. It could be a story for another day. We're going a little bit off topic, but that's all right. I always like to take jabs at Mount Airy, and they find ways to get worse because now they're 10-handed. They're still taking pre-flop rake. A lot of the machines don't even have shufflers, so it's just a total disaster. If you're going to be in that area, just don't play or go to Mohegan Sun Pocono, or maybe you're closer to Wind Creek It's just a disaster. It's like some good dealers there, but overall, it's a mess. I don't want to sit at a poker table and run the game myself and like, suggest for the dealer to do things. Like, I want the dealer to be competent. Like, this is amazing.
And then the other thing is at the hotel desk, you may have an easier time trying to explain this complicated situation, that you have.
Well, the bartender knew how to do the wine promo and all the dining stuff. It was just charged to the folio. And I think checkout was a longer process than most times, but whatever. I have some games to play. I have some Slack groups, Discord groups. Smartphones are amazing. I think it's one of the best investments I make every year. Buying a new phone with the wonderful Google Fi service. It was like $350 for the Flip Z. Was the newest one that I got, and that I've been doing that for several years as well. So whatever. Just have to be patient.
Use your time wisely.
Right?
Yeah.
All
right. So you went from Excalibur, I think, to Wynn then?
Yeah, so I had the 2 comp nights at Wynn that were pre-booked with the Wynn Slots app. Okay. So I saved up enough gems and looked at the calendar and figured out, okay, well, what are the cheapest nights that I can book using the gems? And at that point, I decided it was time to make a purchase. So in the game, unfortunately, you have to pay to unlock VIP levels, and you can get the rooms through that. In the past, there were no VIP levels, some people tell me, and you were just able to book the nights. But I think it's still a great deal, especially if you're getting multiple nights out of it. So I had enough gems. I loaded my account with discounted Google Play gift cards on my Android phone. There were some deals that were like 15% off and even better. And the wonderful Google Opinion Rewards app, which allows you to take very, very easy surveys, just like clicking a multiple choice prompts, maybe like 30 seconds a time. And sometimes you get like $1 for doing a survey. I'm generally not a fan of surveys because it's like I took this 10-minute thing and then it just closed out and said you're not eligible. And congratulations, you got 15 cents. Like, that's terrible. But with Google Opinion Rewards, it really stands out. So yeah, being able to get nights at Wynn around like the $50 to $60 price point is really tremendous. And since I like playing poker there and think it's a good room overall, it's nice to just walk downstairs and play. And the rooms were quite nice, right? They looked recently renovated.
Well, it's just and really kind of elegant as a hotel, I'd say. Very nice. Maybe this makes sense. Seems a little bit older than Resorts World. Well, it is by a couple years. It's not an old place though, but and they've got definitely an international clientele. There's a lot of the signs that are up are in probably Chinese. And just people from all over the world who are down on the floor, and then a bunch of restaurants down around the casino area like Resorts World does, but Bally's doesn't. So that's another nice thing about Wynn.
Yeah, we ate at Wazuzu, Red 8. There was the Terrace Point Cafe for breakfast and vegan options everywhere, especially with Asian cuisine. It's super, super easy to find those. Yeah.
Now, did something happen? Was there a booking hang up at Wynn? Is there something that happened?
Yeah, I explained that a little bit with the gems. That got a little bit complicated because I thought I would have had enough, but as it got closer to the date, the rates went up. So
I see.
I think in the future, I'm going to plan to have many more gems before I make the first booking and then do it. And because of the longer nature of this trip, and this is how Excalibur came into play, I've never stayed at Excalibur before because usually I'm in Vegas for about a week. So, Bally's is covering the 5 nights, and I have some other offer. So I'm good. I don't need to branch out and hop around to so many properties, but it wouldn't have been cost effective to stay at the same property the entire time. Some of the rates got up. So I ended up adding Excalibur, adding Wynn. So it was a little bit of a speculative play. And I hope the rooms will be available. It won't be sold out, blah, blah, blah. But it was okay. It worked out. We just had to burn 1 free night cert. So that wasn't too bad. And I think a good use getting the extra $50 from Hilton for the My Way dining credit. No more free breakfast. It's the My Way credit now. But that's fine, whatever they want to call it.
And that's where I joined you on the trip. We've referred along the way to we doing this, but some of that is just because we went back to the same properties later. So that's right, Georgia. Okay, so far in the trip, I think you've had several nights at a time at these places, right?
Yeah.
And then you went to Bally's next, I think, and again several nights at Bally's.
Yeah, we had several nights at Bally's. That one was $15 a night. which wasn't bad. Like with these comp nights, it's usually the case that there's a timer. So I believe with Caesars is you have to wait 48 hours before you can get comp nights again. So you can't just, again, stay there and just get the comp nights. So the second time around, it didn't end up being a comp night. It was 15 a night. And this one actually pre-booked. So I was able to do both of the reservations. But sometimes with Caesars, I get an error message that says, you've exceeded the amount of reservations at this property. So I have to wait for one stay to complete and then book again. That could have been dangerous this time around because, oh, you're so close. Now it's getting a little busier as it gets closer to Super Bowl. So that could have been really expensive, but pre-booking this stuff really saved. So it was $15 a night, which I think is a phenomenal deal.
No, yeah, it's a great deal.
Diamond status again.
Yeah. I mean, you had to pay something, but my God, $15 a night.
Yeah, and maybe net negative cost. I don't know, like what listeners would consider. So we're just casual observers like, wow, how much did you pay for the whole trip? I said, I think it might have been net negative cost.
Yeah.
With all the dining credits, with all the drink credits.
Yeah.
Really, I think the cost might have been net negative depending on, well, if we just went to Fuhu and we didn't have any offers whatsoever, we wouldn't be spending $125.
Oh gosh, no. Yeah.
But yeah, if they're giving us 125, then I'll take the 125 and of course get those extra steps in.
Sure. And maximize and make it last 2 meals, so 2 people have dinner and then there's some leftover to take back. So, yeah.
Right.
All right. Good. So anything more about the Bally's stay at 15 a night for 3 nights? That's Bally's.
That was good. We got more drink vouchers in. That was more convenient. And with some of the walking, I figure, okay, we'll maybe get a cold drink before taking the 15-minute walk across the street.
Right.
And then once we're across the street, okay, great. We'll grab the drinks at Starbucks and then go to the Cheesecake Factory, or okay, we could stop at Vista is the bar there, and they have like the large glasses, so you get more products if you get the lemon drop martini.
Ooh, yeah.
That was an interesting drink. There's an interesting story behind that, whereas a few months ago there was this really, really small Asian woman that was talking about, oh, it's my 21st birthday. Someone buy me a drink. My favorite drink is lemon drop martini. And I'm saying she's small because, like, can you expect this person to drink that much liquor? I don't know. She was with a friend and someone buy me a drink. And I had an extra drink voucher to use. Okay. So she wanted the lemon drop martini. I got her the lemon drop martini, my, heroic deed of the day or whatever, just being nice to someone. Whatever you want to call it. Maybe not. Maybe I was the villain. I don't know. Because she actually threw up on the poker table.
Oh, no.
First time I've ever seen that happen.
Oh, no.
And they said, okay, we're closing the table. You guys move one table over. And that was it for her. And I didn't get Me Too'd. I didn't end up in Vegas jail. It was good. So, I've gotten drinks for people before and they were fine. I've never seen anyone vomit or regret it or complain. That was the one time ever, which was
although I
very,
think,
very interesting.
I think for a fair percentage of people, that is sort of a routine part of their Vegas experience. I know it's not for you or me, but
yeah. It's like you got to handle the alcohol. You guys figure it out at some point, right? Yeah.
All right. So, so Bally's. And then what was after Bally's, the couple nights at Bally's?
Yeah, so back to Resorts World. So it was another suite of the FHR benefits. And this one was interesting because it was Bally's one night at Resorts World, then the Hilton Cert, then Wynn. And this occurred because the room rates were just lower. So I didn't want to use the $200 credit on a rate that was really high. So unfortunately, there wasn't a scenario for this trip where all the nights could have been back to back. That would have been amazing. But the rates fluctuate, especially for the weekend.
Right. And so then that second night at Resorts World was the one where we used the free Hilton certificate on a room that could have been $300 to $600 if somebody were paying for it, which of course there was no way.
That not happening at all. It would have been using Hilton points somewhere. There's a Hyatt Place that's not too far away. That's 8,000 points, which isn't bad.
Right.
So the cert, I think, gets a pretty good use there. It gets to a point with these cert of like, okay, maybe don't use it today, but then when are you going to use it? When are you going to use it? And then you get in this scenario of like, it's going to expire in 2 months and I don't know what to do. So, all right, here was a good use case. All right, we'll get it out of the way. I'm a fan of using benefits early. I wouldn't like using a cert at just like a random Hilton Garden Inn, but this I think was a good opportunity to use it. I don't know if there's ever like a perfect redemption or an amazing time to use it or whatever, but I think this was a good use, especially when we were in a situation where we need another night and we're at the same property.
Sure.
So
it seemed like a very it seemed like a very good use of it to me. And I have to say, because of your all the information you give, I have so many Hilton points that I can use at other times during the year that happy to use this now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and no problem there. As my wonderful as the wonderful hosts of the Milenomics community say, the answer to everything is more credit cards, and that's definitely been the path for me in the last 3 years. It's like, oh, more benefits, more points. Oh, this is fun. It has to mention another great podcast, the Risk of Ruin podcast, RUIN. I like saying it, Ruin. They talk about this hobby as there's like a game-like aspect of it. And I think that's what keeps it really, really engaging. And like, ooh, here are these terms, and here are these things that we can possibly stack. And, oh, I can get this for free, and I can do that and go and have this experience. So that's fun. Like if it were something like, oh, you're just crunching numbers in a spreadsheet, or you're, in more of like a traditional job, that wouldn't be so appealing to me. But this has allowed me the life freedom to get away from that traditional job and be more independent and be self-employed even, and just do things to the beat of my own drum for the most part. There's that fine print. There are the people out there like, oh, what if something goes wrong? Or, oh, what if I make a mistake? It's like, okay, everybody's going to make a mistake here and there, but it's not going to be debilitating. And hey, we're so far ahead, like overall, and how many experiences and points and miles and cashback. It's just amazing. I mean, maybe before I started with this hobby, it's like, maybe I'll take a flight once a year. Or maybe even less than that. Yeah. But now it's like, ooh.
Maybe I'll go to Vegas for a month.
Yeah. From the humble beginnings of playing poker, buying in for $5 online in cash games, to, hey, I can just stay in Vegas this time and use all these benefits, and you get this like luxurious experience. So it's very interesting.
And you do, of course, have to be able to keep track of things, what you've paid, and what benefits you have that you're going to want to use, and which ones you've used, and all that. But you're right, it's not staring at a spreadsheet. It's just not letting things be really loosey-goosey, because that's not going to be a winning strategy here.
Yeah, and I started really small. I just had one premium credit card at first, and then I thought, oh wow, can I get another sign-up bonus? And then moved on to a second one. And I think the banks kind of build in roadblocks to a certain extent, where you can't just pull the trigger and get 20 credit cards in one day.
Yeah, sure.
Where you're going to have to wait in between applications. And currently I'm in timeout until April, I've talked about before. It seemed like an eternity, because I tried to get in with US Bank and Barclays, getting new cards with them. And they said, oh, you've had too many accounts opened in the last 12 months. I waited for 6 months. And 6 months wasn't good enough this time around. It was before. But now they're saying 12 months. So I've had to wait. I added in some business cards, and I'm just eager to do the Apparama in April. All my credit scores went down to like 600 after Q4 because I was leveraging so much credit. And I've paid everything off now. It's rebounding. It's going to be back. Like all these people like, oh, I want the 800 credit score. Like, you don't need the 800 credit score. And I think it would actually be a bad thing in most cases to have the 800 credit score, because that means I'm not pushing hard enough and I'm leaving so much money on the table. So for me, taking more of, I guess, like a part to full-time thing with this, obviously with the reselling the gift cards, like whatever you want to consider, I'm pushing pretty hard. And for me, the hourly return is really, really great. And I can manage all this stuff, and I'm financially responsible. Like if you're just going to get a credit card and go wild and, buy that $1,000 wine bottle, like, okay, the game's probably not for you. But I think that most listeners can benefit. And I don't say everyone should be all in and doing all the things that I'm doing, but if you could do some of them, I think that's a great boon. And in fact, there are people out there doing more than I'm doing.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
Yeah, it's how much time can you put in trying to find some of the better deals and have some fun with it as that game-like aspect.
Well, I guess it's also how much time can you and how much time do you want to is the other considerations. That's going to be different for each person. So good. Okay. So the 2 nights at Resorts World that were kind of combined FHR and Hilton Free Night Certificate. And then where after that?
Yeah, we had another night at Wynn. We had some gems to do that booking. It was kind of funny. We were walking back from Panera, and it was, oh, well, I'm actually pretty close to getting this third night. The rate went up, but I guess I'm going to do higher spins now and try to boost the bankroll but not go broke. So I had about 11 billion chips, and I eventually got down to 2 billion and had enough gems at 2 billion. So I didn't go broke. Okay. They were bigger spins. It was a little riskier, but it was an opportunity to save those 8,000 Hyatt points or burning another Hilton certificate. So use some more gems through the Win app and get that other night. It was a little bit complicated. We had like a double lunch situation because the Hilton cert, they wouldn't give us a later checkout. They said they were fully committed. They said we're fully committed. So we can't do later than a noon checkout. But the check-in at Win was supposed to be 3:00, and we ended up getting to Win, and they said, okay, well, if the room is available early, then we'll send you a text message to let you know, call you, whatever. So we were just kind of there stranded, and I didn't want to play poker at like 1 p.m. I'm almost never playing early in the day. I like playing later. And we ended up just going to a restaurant and hanging out there for a little bit. And then they finally sent us the message saying that the room was open. So there was a little bit of downtime. I think that was one weak point of the trip, in that there was kind of dead time in between the checkout and check-in time. But that was the only time it happened.
The only time. Otherwise, I think with all the status that you have, et cetera, you were able to get late checkout everywhere. And so the checkout time at one hotel would be later than the check-in time at the next one, or at least it would be the exact same time. So really, it was just the transit between the two, but there was no waiting time, no downtime except for that one. And I think that was probably just because it's probably in part because the Hilton Free Certificate didn't carry with it some of that status, I would guess, even though I'm a Diamond member.
That was bizarre, but I think that was due to Super Bowl.
It was Super Bowl weekend, right, was the other thing. Yeah. So, okay. And then from Wynn back to Resort World.
Yep, we had another FHR night, so we went through the dining credits. So we went to Viva, right? The Mexican restaurant. You found that and suggested that, as I saw that Fuhu was a really good option. And, oh, wow, there are a lot of vegetarian options here after all. Yeah,
they had vegetarian and vegan options on the menu, so that was really good. And again, enough to take back to the room, too, to have another meal or a midnight snack. So, tasty.
Yeah, that was really nice. Lots of options there. And they were generous with the chips, too, the chips and tortilla. But it was like, well, hey, are we going to get full on chips with, chips and tortilla, chips and salsa, chips and salsa? Like, well, don't get full on the chips and salsa before everything else comes. There might be a lot of listeners as well who use the grocery points for salsa and might have like a wall full of that too. But it's mostly the Cliff Bars and printer paper here. But yeah, it's like, oh, so sick of. We did the pasta pass at Olive Garden before. That was pretty funny. It was like 60 to 90 days of all you can eat.
Was it more than 30? I thought it was 30 days. Was it longer?
It was definitely no. It was definitely more than 30. Yeah. But that died. At least I haven't. 2020 they didn't have it around with the pandemic.
It might be just as well.
Yeah. I mean, I have second thoughts about it, but that's a story for another day. But I got creative.
Yeah.
Like, hey, could I have this? Can you put the sauce that you give for the shrimp appetizer, can you just give me that with the pasta? And can I have the zucchini noodles instead of the fettuccine?
Right.
Yeah, some of the things are like, well, yeah, it's saving money, but I'm kind of eating the same thing all the time. And I was okay with Fuhu. There's some diversity in the menu, and I have my rice cooker at home. Right. But Olive Garden and a lot of the carbs that might have come along with that, maybe not the best of things. But it was an interesting challenge, man versus food here.
Oh, and the other thing about the restaurants at Resort World, where we talked about Fuhu and Viva, are that that letter that talked about that offered the free bubbly also had on it in very small print the few places at Resorts World where these your FHR credits were not valid, like a couple of restaurants. I don't remember because we didn't go to those. But so that's some of the fine print that people would want to check too if they're staying on a deal.
Yeah, I think Fuhu and Viva were great for value. Some people were talking about food court restaurants as well. But I think it was easier to just keep it in the restaurant, keep it simplified. You're all in the same place, and you're not breaking up the food credit. And like, how many, we're not hobbits here having multiple of the same meal, right? So we just like, all right, well, we get it done. We'll take the takeout, and I try to get as close as possible.
Yes.
To that. It's like not including tips and gratuities. So it was figuring out and not going over because like, wow, well, if we're not going to normally buy more than $100 in food, then why would we go over $125?
Right, absolutely.
I mean, if it's like $1.50 or whatever, like, okay, fine. But
it's plenty of food. Yeah.
Oh, it's a lot of food. Yeah, and I think that's the much better thing rather than going to quote unquote the steakhouse and paying like $100 for steak. But obviously, as a vegetarian, I'm not doing that. But even if they had some, like I was seeing some article about a fine dining vegetarian place, it's like I'm not really willing to pay for that. Like, I'm fine with the $15-$20 menu item, and there's certainly that value all throughout Vegas.
Yeah, I might be more likely to chase down the fine dining just It's so much better than my own cooking.
Yeah, just not the $1,000 wine bottle.
No, absolutely not. Well, and
$80 steak either.
Well, and Fuhu and Viva were very nice, very nice
very
ambiance, very high quality food. Yeah, so.
No. Yeah, the roasted cauliflower with the caramel glaze was really interesting.
Yeah,
that was a big meal because sometimes with some of these places, like, okay, I'm ordering sides or I'm ordering appetizers because it's just like burgers and bar food and French fries. But they did a really good job with their vegetarian and vegan options.
Really interesting food. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So then what was after? So then I left. And then what was after Resorts World?
Yeah, you missed Bellagio. Bellagio. Yeah. Well, you had others. I say with some of these trips, like, well, don't come along for the whole trip. And, you don't play poker. You don't play the other games. So it's like, okay, well, at a certain point, like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I just do my own thing. I'm cool with that. But yeah, Bellagio was interesting. So this was an option I hadn't picked in the past because of the resort fee situation that MGM was charging the $40, $50 a night, whatever, at their properties. And I'm getting comp nights at Bally's and I'm only there for about a week. So why pay resort fees if I could just avoid resort fees and use other offers that are also free? Although 40 a night, 50 a night, not bad, whatever, different experience, But this time around, since the resort fees were waived, I was able to book the nights at Bellagio, and I was looking to extend the trip anyway. So even if the resort fees were still charged, this was a great way to just extend the trip.
Yeah.
So I used my loyalty points or gold coins from the wonderful My Vegas games and was able to book 2 nights at Bellagio. And I informed the front desk agent about the resort fee situation, and she waived them. So I got a fountain view room. I'm normally not much a fan of views, and like, I'm really putting $50 for a better sight out the window. But it was cool. It was some nice photos you can find on my Instagram account at Justin Vacula, Vacula. And you can see the fountains right outside in the show. So that was really cool. Good. And I guess, like, okay, you have the laptop next to it and face out the window, other than like some configurations where the desk is like against the wall. That's kind of weird. And, RIP, rest in peace, Daryl McEwen, 7 Stars Insider. He talked about the weird placement of plugs in the room. That's one thing I packed. I made sure to take several extension cords or power outlets or whatever you would call them, where I can hook multiple devices into one thing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes these rooms are bizarre. Like, who thought, you have to like put all your devices on the side of the room to charge things? Like, certainly not great for the phone, especially if you're using the phone as an alarm. Waking up. But some of these older rooms, maybe they didn't really consider electronics too much.
Sure. Yeah.
But with the newer rooms, they were better in having the outlets next to, say, the nightstand.
Right. And often having a couple of USB outlets too.
Mm-hmm. Right there, great for the international travelers as well. More consideration there rather than all these converters.
Yeah. Hey, can I go back to resort fees for a moment? Maybe your listeners know this, but so what's usually included in that, and how often is it A, optional, and B, covered if it's not optional? Or covered
some listeners might just consider resort fees like a scam or sludge, in that, okay, well, we're just going to add something on. We're going to like call rooms comped, or we're going to call it free, or we're going to advertise the price like 30, but by the time you get through checkout, it's going to be like 80.
Yeah.
So, there might be some truth in that the hotel is just trying to jack it up, because like, how much is it going to cost to use that fitness center, and can't that just be part of the hotel? And there are all these people playing 000 roulette and 6 to 5 blackjack. But that's a story. Or actually, at Caesar's Palace, it was 000 roulette electronic stadium gaming. That was actually right next to a 000 roulette table, which is fantastic. They're just giving up a 10% house edge there. And it's whatever. I guess people like playing roulette. I'll shame the roulette listeners and encourage them to play better games. That's okay. In joking, of course, and a little bit of seriousness.
Right. Sure.
But or maybe some people like, oh, you play poker. Well, whatever. I guess we can all make fun of each other. But the resort fees are kind of like a sludgy fee of like, you have to pay this. But sometimes you get Wi-Fi. Most of the time you get Wi-Fi. Wynn actually allowed you to opt out of resort fee, but then you don't get Wi-Fi. You don't get the fitness center. But they have some other services. I think you used the printing service at one point, if that was included. Some hotels we've seen that. Some they like outsource it and like, it's FedEx Center.
Right. Resort World. I did some printing at Resort World, printing and scanning, and they actually have a conference center. And in the conference center was a small FedEx. And I did pay extra to have done what it was the same as if I'd gone to a FedEx elsewhere, except it was much more convenient. So they didn't have a business center like some hotels do, but it was convenient.
Yeah, it's different from property to property. I think a Hilton Home 2 Suites we were at had a laundry facility that was like coin-operated laundry. Like, oh, that would have been great this trip. That would have saved some moving around.
I don't know of any of the Vegas hotels, at least that I've been to, that has coin-operated laundry. Whereas it's very common, if you're doing like a cross-country trip or staying in a city or something, other cities, maybe off the Strip they do. I don't know, like a Hilton Garden Inn or something. I've never seen signs to laundry. They never talk about it.
Yeah. So a nice trip overall. What an experience. I think I will do it again next year, depending on all the offers that I have. And certainly it'll be a renewal of the American Express Fine Hotel and Resorts credit, because I got a retention offer on one of them that I activated a few weeks ago.
Good.
So the next calendar year comes and it's like the dream scenario of, okay, well, I can use all the benefits in January, and then if the annual fee isn't worth it, or if I want to downgrade to a gold, I get no retention offer. I get more 4X grocery because we love you, Giant. Give us more gas deals. We'll get more spend at 4X on the Amex Gold. So I had an episode about this. Like, it might not make sense to pay that annual fee if there's no retention offer, and we just downgrade to gold and get multiple gold cards. And then we could put our adhesive labels that we got with Giant points and distinguish the card. Card to card, when Amex is so fine to give us the same last 5 digits from card to card, which is amazing. But hey, we love you, Amex. You're good with us. You're good with us. So yeah, it should be another suite of benefits. And
Great.
Then, okay, I can do these My Vegas 2 comp nights every 30 days. I can fire some more points out here and there, and I'll probably get more free rooms at Bally's unless it's Horseshoe, and then they don't give them anymore. But hopefully Planet Hollywood in Paris will be generous. But who knows? Again, strike while the iron is hot. This was a really cool opportunity. It was an adventure. Some off days I got tired at some point and like, oh, I'm just going to sleep. And it's like 4 o'clock and I'll just take the evening off. Go back to Carnival and get the drinks there.
Yeah.
Everything will be cool.
So, of course, as you're planning this again, you'll be looking to see what opportunities you have. But is there anything sort of big picture that you think you might do differently? Maybe in planning it or once you're there?
No, I think it went really well overall. I'd bring the sneakers. I'd have more gems in my Vegas or in win slots. Now I'm doing it. The gem situation was kind of wonky, so but my VIP status is going to expire in about 35 days, I think. So I won't make a purchase with the game until I get a lot more gems, unless I have a demand for needing the nights.
Until you're going to need to use them.
Yeah, I'll build up that gem balance. I'll try to book a room far in the future so that the rates are low, and then I'll have more gems later on and then get more time to play to renew the gems. Stay tuned for the video on that. I've been meaning to do it for a while. It's some like higher level strategy with these games. But it's, again, fun to figure out. I really love it. I mean, I love playing role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons. We've gone to many events for sure. And this is like, wow, I'm building a character here. I'm planning this out. Like, what is this strategy of it? I'm definitely firing at happy cards. If I'm seeing any happy cards for Panera and Cheesecake Factory, I think I started this trip with like $180 in bonus cards for Panera. And I was able to go through those because it's the December promo of buy 50, get 10 at Panera and Cheesecake Factory, buy 50, get 15. So if certain retailers sell happy cards for about $40 or $42.50, and then we can use the happy cards to buy Panera and Cheesecake Factory gift cards and sell the originals at Panera and Cheesecake Factory, well, we just have a lot of bonus cards. That's negative net cost, and it's more sweet potato enchiladas, cauliflower tacos at Cheesecake Factory. The vegan Cobb salad is spectacular, and we got Cheesecake Factory right inside Caesar's Palace. What a location!
Great.
And we get the Atlantis fountain show, which is really interesting.
Yeah. I think I've seen that once. Yeah.
Yeah. Although your back is you can't see it while you're eating. You can go around and rush around. Every so often there are people that rush around to see it. So yeah, definitely more happy. I want to be very aggressive about the happy cards when I could find discounts.
Aggressively happy. That sounds great.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was a lot of savings.
Yes.
I mean, when I was by myself, I tried to drain those bonus cards and use those, and that covered quite a lot of the trip. Because I guess you extend it longer, it's going to be more expensive. And I mean, a month was good for me. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Great. So, thanks for telling me about it. Is there anything else you'd want to add about the trip that we haven't covered?
No, I think that's good. I'm looking forward to going back in April. Caesars is going to have a 5 times points multiplier. So I'll play poker. I'll probably play some video poker to earn 1,000 tier credits to get a bonus. I think 1,000. I'd have to look at that again. This is the fun thing of doing the podcast live. That's all right. It adds some character. But they have some break points where if you earn a certain amount of tier credits in a day, you get bonus tier credits. So it makes sense to strive toward those break points. Because playing poker alone at this point, it's difficult to get Diamond Plus. It's possible. But since I don't have a local room, I'd have to drive an hour and a half to Atlantic City, which I do occasionally. Only when I'm getting the comp nights and have the offers, but I'm not going to drive an hour and a half to a casino to play and then drive home. That's way too much.
That's crazy.
When I have the local options, especially. So I'll go to Atlantic City a few times. I'll go back to Vegas. And I'm going to try to keep up that status. But hey, if I'm giving up a little bit to the house, it looks like 1 to 1.5, and then I'm getting the comp nights, I'm getting the drink vouchers. It makes sense. I'm purchasing status at a certain level, and I'm giving play. It's diversifying, and I have some fun playing jacks or better, so it's all right. I'm not giving up 10% to the house in the 000 roulette. So the jacks or better video poker's fine. I've studied that. I've looked at the strategy charts, and I've used apps to test my accuracy, and I do a good job with it.
Good. That's terrific. Yeah. And didn't we have a rideshare driver who was telling us a story about a family member who gets all sorts of benefits and bonuses and free nights by playing slots?
That's what the driver said, that they were free nights.
Yeah.
We get free nights playing slots. There are some advantage players in slots out there. There are certain games that will trigger bonus conditions, and there's some vulturing that goes on where people will look at certain machines to see if they're in or close to bonused states and then play them. Or there's some progressives that make sense. But unfortunately, I haven't found any unicorns in that department. But I imagine that the person who's saying, "Yeah, I get my free nights," probably not free. They don't realize
how much they're actually spending for them.
It's like, some of the slot players, I've heard of it's just fun, mindless entertainment, and I like that. I mean, for me, that's not for me. I don't want to give up close to 10% to the house. If I'm just playing penny slots, for instance. The Las Vegas Review Journal put out an article saying that the house is taking 10%.
Yeah, wow.
And in some cases, maybe it's worse if you're playing on reservations or other casinos where the transparency and the regulation isn't quite there. It could get worse than that, but I'm not about that. If I can play positive expectation games or only give up 0.5% in craps or video poker, maybe 1.5 ish. The Caesars games aren't as great. Some of the jacks are better. It was I think 8-6, 9-5, somewhere around there. Not the 9-6 jacks are better that we're all looking for. That's the 9-9-5-4 payback. Getting a little bit more into the numbers here. But yeah, I mean, don't lose your lunch gambling when you can just do a little bit of research. I mean, there was one time where we did a play in blackjack and you played basic strategy for an hour.
Yeah.
And that was an experience for you, but I can't imagine that it was very difficult to learn how to play, especially with apps, index cards, basic strategy chart and everything. You were fine. You went into it. And
but I wouldn't
play together.
I wouldn't spend much time doing it, although somebody could learn it and use that as a way to get more status at casinos. I'm sure without losing too much to the house.
Yeah, my point is if you really want to gamble, I encourage people to play games where you're not giving up so much to the house.
Exactly. Yeah, well, you can learn something about how to play it and do better than just these total random chance games.
Yeah,
which are stacked against you. Yeah. But the other thing is. That people could do trips, like this, put trips like this together with the card benefits and maybe the apps that you're talking about, the games you're talking about that don't involve going to a casino or don't involve, gambling with their money. So you get
we could have stayed at a Hyatt Place for 5 nights. We could have stayed at one of the Hilton properties out there. So there are a lot of ways to skin the cat here and have a successful, low-cost Vegas trip full of value.
Yeah. Well, great. Thanks for telling me more about it. I didn't know all that went into the planning of it, although I'd heard a little bit along the way. And
yeah. How was it for you? We're like, I was like, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And like,
sure, I'll show up.
it's like, oh, I'll be, we used to be able to get like $2,000 worth of money orders at Walmart, and it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go to customer service really quick, see. Or like, oh, you got all these gift cards. Like, well, what's going on here? Like sometimes the cashier is like, $5,000, and it's like, oh no, all the attention, like what is going on here? So it's, I do these eccentric things and have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah,
get the good return at the end of the day.
It works for you too. Yeah. Well, and you were telling me about this trip and kind of, which nights you'd be spending where, and saying, hey, you're welcome to come on out. And so, I got to just simply pick, okay, this stretch of time looks good, and you had made all the arrangements, which worked for me.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun. A little bit of hopping around, a little bit of walking here and there, but yeah, try to keep the locations close and, not go too out of the way. There are always deals that I pass on. I see people in these extreme couponing Facebook groups, and like I see the results from some of these people. It's like, oh, I saved $2,000 on groceries, and like I'm here at 8, and I'm not clipping coupons, I'm not printing things, I'm not going through inserts. Maybe that's someone else's thing, and maybe they don't want to do all this with credit, or they don't have the access to credit, or their scores are really low or whatever. But I'm always trying to look for that value. Like, I'm not going to do things like significantly going out of the way and doing things that are a very low expected value proposition.
Right.
I'm looking for the bigger deals. I'm looking for the better things. And, sometimes it's like, oh, okay, well, look, I saved $5 on this trip that took me like 5 minutes. It's like, well, think of the hourly on that. That's pretty good. Yeah. In many cases. So it's evaluating and seeing, what's worth it for you and what you want to do, and how much you can, maybe the organization thing is a stumbling block for some people. But I say, like, start small, build up, do what you're comfortable doing, and experiencing some success at a lower level, I think, allows you to level up. And in many ways, this is like D&D. It's like, oh, look, I get this +5 at grocery stores, and hey, get this certain benefit and use this ability and everything. Certainly the game-like aspect to it.
Right.
And
there's that too.
I find it pretty fun.
And I have to say, I mean, you can travel cheaply, but to have your costs covered so that you can travel well at nice places, while spending the same amount or less, is really a nice feature of this. So, I mean, these Resorts World Wynn, I didn't see Bellagio, or I've seen the casino, but I didn't see the hotel part of Bellagio, but they're nice places. And they're places I would never pay to stay, but, it's great to have the experience.
Yeah, so you get the best of both worlds, taking the frugal approach, but having all these like luxurious experiences. I remember there was a former coworker of mine who would say something like, well, I take the maximum deductions so that the government takes more money out of the paycheck. I'm paraphrasing here. Like, so she wants all this money to come out of her paycheck so she gets the alleged tax refund so she can go on one vacation a year. And the alleged refund. Giving the government the interest-free loan. So I think, like, with a little bit of financial literacy and a little bit of gumption to say, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to buck the system. I'm going to do something a little bit different and have the success, is going to be better than that one vacation a year or, that page. Like, some people get in this paycheck to paycheck lifestyle, and it just can't seem great. Like, a lot of mental stress, and I hope that people can improve their situation so that they can travel more. Maybe at the easiest thing, I just signed up for a new checking account today, a $500 bonus for connecting a direct deposit, and like what an easy thing, what found money, like very little effort to get things like that. So I think there's something out there for everyone that hopefully everyone can understand something and do a little bit better, get some rewards, have a trip to not, break the savings or whatever the case might be. Right.
And your podcast is a great place to learn about that. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah. It was a fun conversation today and a fun trip overall. So we'll be back in April to Las Vegas and many more trips to come.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for future episodes. Visit my website at hurdygurdytravel.com. That's HURDYGURDY travel.com to contact me, find me on social media, read episode transcripts, and schedule a free credit card consultation. Support the show through Patreon, Subscribestar, referral links, and buying from my eBay store. Watch the show on YouTube and listen on many podcast platforms. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Supporters of my Patreon and Subscribe Star pages receive special perks, including a custom podcast episode, questions answered by upcoming guests, and monthly private one-on-one conversations. Schedule a free 15-minute consultation with Cakeology, that's Cakeologi, to formally establish your business, build business credit, and get premium business credit cards. After the free consultation, I will receive credit for referring you when you select from various paid services. Listen to Cakeology on episode 12 of the podcast. Find an affiliate link on my website. Build and grow your business with the help of Burst Biz Services. Burst Biz helps you grow and start businesses, expand business credit, and increase your business visibility with online listings. Use my affiliate link at hurdygurdytravel.com. Finally, listen to my other podcast, the Stoic Solutions Podcast, found at stoicsolutionspodcast.com. My podcast guests and I offer practical wisdom for everyday life inspired by the ancient tradition of Stoic philosophy from Greece and Rome. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.
Okay, shall I sing the music now? All right, that was